And here we are. Hey guys, how's it all going? So, Tuesday night, yet again. Let's get some light on the situation, maybe. See what that does. That's probably a little better. So, here we are. Bit of a rush tonight, but hey, I made it here and it's exactly 7 o'clock. So, cheers to me. Now, somebody needs to tell me they can hear me. We don't do that weird stuff where I'm talking to myself again. Old timer. Who we got here? Unfinished Project Dart Sport. Okay, welcome along, old timer. Yep, welcome along. Stephen Carter, Tin Bender. Where are you? Am I not here? No. Andy Nicol. Yes. Are you saying yes to me or what? Loud and clear. Oh, okay. There we go. There's my question answered. Unfinished Dart Project. Thank you, sir. I wasn't sure what I was talking to myself again because I hate it when that happens. I do that enough at the workshop, so without doing it on Tuesday nights as well. Right. So, Andy Nicol, welcome along. Paul Funk, rain-soaked Colorado. It sure ain't raining here. I know that much. Who else have we got here? Dean Pollard. Yes. Yep. Stephen Carter, 5x5. What's 5x5? There you I can hear you, Steve Sadusky. Good on you, bud. Cheers, mate. Paul Funk, don't forget the like button. You've only just got here. Good on you, man. Thank you. And Beagle Bob's in the house as well. Awesome. Flying the American flag. Good man. So, I was interested I put on a little post about tonight that let's see how many nationalities we can get in the chat tonight. So, at the moment, it looks like we just got Americans and the lone Kiwi. So, that's all right. The foreigners should be chiming in soon, I'm sure. Howdy from Dean Pollard, howdy from South Delaware. All right, cool. Chris Freemess is here, all the way from New York, up that way. And old timer, I'm sipping Copper Dog Scotch, a blend of 8 Speyside single malts. Wow. It has just a touch of smoke. It's $31 a bottle. Best buy in the whole liquor store. There you go. Steve Sadusky, hit the like button and hit me back. What's up with that? That's a little concerning, man. That is a little concerning. Andy Nicol, Canadian, of course. Yes. So we got 3 so far. Let's see what else we. HBGT, Outback, South Australia here. So that's 4. Stephen Carter, perfect signal, both video and audio, 5Z5. Oh, okay, I get it. And New Zealand, so what's that, 5? Awesome. Gillian Green. Whereabouts in New Zealand, Gillian Green? Chris Freeman's wait is tonight a nationality contest. Well, not really a contest, but I'm just kind of interested because we've had some English people on. We've had a Norwegian on the chat. So, yeah, I just thought, I wonder how many actually chime in because not everybody comments, of course. So some are just watching, like quietly in the background. So Volfly's here, Paul Funk. Who else we got? Yeah, Charles Dalton. Gillian Green from Nelson. Nelson's pretty. That's a beautiful spot. Awesome. Well, glad you're here. Volfly, clinging to a pistachio. Why a pistachio? Beagle Bob, I'll be drinking coffee tonight. Oh, okay. You will move, man. Are you down? Are you a Tennessean now officially? Beagle? So, Stephen Carter, we love all people. Well, this is very true. Tim Miller, painting my MGB, calling it Hermit. Okay. Beagle Bob ends up here moving to Georgia. Okay, bit of a change of plans. Volfly having some pistachios right now. Good for you, man. What's for dinner? You always got something weird going, or interesting. I shouldn't say weird, should I? Interesting going on at Volfly's place with what's for dinner. Chris Freemes, your appeal spans the world, Kiwi. Well, yeah, that's probably overstating it a little, but hey, it is. It does give me quite a kick when there's, people from a few different corners of the planet, not just the mainstream stuff. Timer, I had bacon and eggs and toast for your dinner. Well, yeah, why not? Tavo's here. Hey man, how you doing? You're late. You're not very late, bud. 6 minutes. We'll let you off with that one, mate. How was Bathurst? Did you watch Bathurst? That was absolutely awesome. One of the best races in a long time. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you need to look up Bathurst on YouTube and have a look. They've got about a 1 hour highlights package of it, which is, I'd love to have seen more, but that's all I got to see. But it was an amazing race, a great race. Steve Sadusky, I just did the ultimate garage and spilled my beer. Old timer, not bragging. Well, no. Charles Dalton, old timer, breakfast for dinner is the best. Yeah, well, yeah. Why not? Why not? Volfly, probably frozen pizza tonight. Busy day today. Oh man. Yeah, okay. Very well, yeah. When it's busy, it's busy. XPGT, go forward. LOL. Yes. Ford did good. Actually, the racing was, regardless of what camp you're in, the racing was very good, very close. There's a slight controversy at the end, but, there's been more controversial finishes at Bathurst, but it was a very good race. Some just big balls racing in the rain, pouring with rain. 100 pushing 180 mile an hour, and like a group of three cars around like literally 100, and they were probably doing 170 mile an hour around the corner, the sweeping right, and three of them within, they all could have reached out and touched each other, and it was like, whoa, those guys have just got absolutely no fear. It was a great race. You really should go and have a look at the highlights package. Stephen Carter, hit the like button first thing and then relax. Bathurst was epic. Bathurst really was epic. Tavo, you didn't watch it, mate, but I did have a glance at the highlights reel. Really can't get into the cookie cutter cars and the ridiculous rules. Yeah. I mean, you're right, Tavo. It doesn't hold me like it used to, but there's just a certain magic about Bathurst that, it's almost compulsory viewing, even though the cars aren't as cool as they used to be. But that's happening in a lot of motorsports now. It's all this cookie cutter stuff, as you call it. But that was some great racing. Chris Freeman, a poor fuck, you've apparently never eaten at IHOP. Yes, they can screw up a breakfast. Yep. Old timer, what country is this race in? Australia. New South Wales, Australia. But yeah, if you just look up Bathurst, let me just, Bathurst 2020. I'm in bloody caps lock. Good Lord. Here we go. Bathurst 2025, and it will go on YouTube, and it'll come up, and they've got like a 52-minute highlights package, and you will not be bored. Trust me. Don't do it now though. Do it like in 2 hours' time. Okay. Right, where were we up to? John Chapman, like the strengthening of the Alpine. Well, thanks, man. It was kind of a last minute, slight change of direction, especially as I've already done some repair work on the other side, and I'm going to have to go back and undo it to do the same on the other side. But it just, yeah, and I'm glad I did it, I think it'll be. I think it'll be, it'll improve the car quite considerably. Stephen Blankeybird, good to see you on the airwaves. There you go. Stephen Carter, balls the size of bowling balls. Yeah, really, really. I mean, it was. It was very, very and hard racing right from the start, because it's an endurance race. It's 1,000 kilometers, which is like 600 miles, and that's not like. It's not like 100 miles more than Daytona, the Daytona 500, because it's up and downhill. There's 1,000-foot change in height from the front straight, at the front of the race course to the back of the race course. There's 1,000 feet difference in height, so it's really steep uphill and it's really steep downhill. You got lots of lefts and rights and blind crests, and yeah, I think it's one of the best racetracks in the world, if not the best racetrack in the world, but. I might be a little biased, but but yeah, and having been there a couple of times, it's you actually realise just how steep it is going up and how steep it is coming down, and flying down that hill at Bathurst and throwing it around those a few of them are really tight corners and a few of them are really fast corners, and the way they do that downhill in the wet is like I've done a little bit of racing driving or rally driving, and I like to think, I was okay, nowhere, better than some and nowhere near as good as a lot, but I wouldn't even try on that, like downhill at Bathurst. No, in the rain, no, I would stick it in the wall without a question. XBGT, if it wasn't for that 5-second penalty, it would have been close. It was pretty close. Well, yeah, it was pretty close even with that. And there's a lot of controversy over that 5-second, whether he deserved it or whether he didn't. And I even though I'm technically a Ford guy, I didn't really have a Ford or GM bias in that race. I think the penalty was a little tough. It was very fine line. It was close to a racing incident, but maybe just a little, just a fraction over the line for being a racing incident, maybe, given the conditions. But that's an argument that no one's ever going to win that argument. There's not a new camera angle that's going to say, oh, he was in the wrong. So it is what it is. It's in the history books now, and the officials at the race made their call. They had a very short period of time to make that call in, and it is what it is. Either one of them could have given a little, and neither one of them did. And why would you? There was a lot on the line. So yeah. Beagle Bob, thanks for asking. I never ended up getting a working stereo in the Power Stroke, so I've been listening to a turbo whistle loud enough I can hardly hear my wife. Well, you stick to that excuse, buddy. What have we got here? Volfly had a customer drop off a 72 Chevelle Malibu convertible disguised as an SS. He paid $70,000 for it. 496 engine, turbo 400, maybe store converter, Wilwood foil disc brakes, won't even pass inspection. Oh dear. That's not a. How tough's the inspection where you are, Volfly? I don't imagine it's very tough, and it still won't pass. What's up with it? Orlando Pockets. Hey man, welcome along. I always liked IROC racing. Yeah, that was always good. International Race of Champions. Yep. Volfly, the Chevelle guy got ripped off, I say. 70K for an SS clone with a 490. It's a lot. It'd want to be a very, very nice car to be worth that. But keeping in mind that a real 70, a genuine 72 SS Chevelle is worth quite a bit of coin. But yeah, with all the extras on it, the Woolwood discs and 496, it wasn't really looking like a real deal, was it? Did he know it was? Did he think it was an SS, or did he know it was a clone? Steve Sadusky, has anyone here, including you, Kiwi, work on a car repair and have the damn thing fall apart around you, just like I experienced? Literally, I would fix one thing and another problem would arise. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I've had that. Like, they come in for one thing and something else completely, basically unrelated, goes wrong, and you've got to try and explain to them how it wasn't your fault. Yeah. Tavo, try passing maneuver into a corner and then get the door shut on you and cop a 5-second penalty. What has happened to racing? I mean, it's all to do. Yeah, it's all to do with where your front wheel is as opposed to the A pillar. There's we can be talking about inches between, or half a meter between being wrong and being in the right and being in the wrong, and they're doing it all at high speed in the wet. And yeah, you need to be able to pass, and you need to be able to go up the inside, but you need to be able to get up the inside, enough that the other car is supposed to let you go, and then. Yeah, that's where it's tricky. Is how far alongside is far enough. But there is some pretty clear rules and regs on how much how enough is enough. Yeah, hang on, shot down the page here. Here we go. Oh yeah, here we go. Firefly has lots of cars falling apart on them. Customers' cars, yeah, it does happen. And I'm back. It says I'm back. Hope I'm back. That was recent, Lucas. Mark Taylor, Lucas laptop. Yeah. Oh, that was Volfly that said that. Yeah, that'd be right. He's back. Awesome. Well, cool. Let's just scroll up the side here and see where I was up to. Volfly, the Chevelle has no horn, loose headlights, no horn wiring, no horn contactor wire, no dash lights or courtesy lights, no neutral, safety, reverse. Yeah, pretty standard fare, isn't it? Funny, you talk about the horn. I was working on a K5 Blazer today that the horn wasn't working, and so there was actually someone had finished a restoration on it. There was no horns actually installed on the car, so that was one reason. The other reason, the horn button was there, but when you popped it out, there was that spring-loaded connection part that makes the contact while you're turning. That just wasn't there. None of the wires were behind the horn button were connected to anything, and the steering wheel was loose. I just took the nut off, holding the steering wheel on with my fingers, just spun it off, lifted the steering wheel off, and away you go. Yeah. So, the whole time of Volfly, the man needs a lawyer. Yeah. The lawyer won't get him anywhere, unfortunately. It's so hard to prove who did it or who didn't do it, Chris Freemason, no joke. I live in New York and my old daily driver was so rusty that every time I did any work on it, there'd be an outline of the car on the driveway made of the rust that fell off. Oh, good Lord, really? Oh. Max Level 619, cheers Kiwi. Your opinion on your regional breakfast treats: country ham, grits, biscuits and gravy. Favorite bourbon for race watching. Okay, your opinion on regional breakfast street. Country ham I like, grits, nah, forget about it. Biscuits and gravy. Well, I do enjoy that, but yeah, grits, yeah. Have not had night grits that I like, but you know, people tell me it's really good, but I've yet to experience it. Favorite bourbon for race watching? Angel's Envy, probably just to sip away on. There's a nice drop, but it's kind of also beer drinking. I like to sit there with a few beers on race day. He's gone. Okay, yep. Let's go. Let's see if we can't scroll down. Kev got to the internet router again. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, Firefly. We warned him, and he bought it anyways from a place that exclusively sells old cars. The worst place to buy from. It really does seem that way. Yeah, it seems to those, especially the on, like the on behalf, seems to attract the worst of it. The real lipstick on a pig cars. But people keep buying cars from them, so it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. Kind of makes me feel like why do I bother? Why do I try so hard to do it right when there's other people doing it so badly? And chances are they're making more money than I am doing it that way. Paul Funk, they used to race on Georgetown Lake in the winter here in Colorado. Oh, wow, really? Huh. Now, Mark Taylor, what colour do you intend to paint the Alpine? I actually put a picture of it up when I did a post on YouTube today, just saying that the live was on tonight, and so it's a very dark, like a British racing green with a lot of metallics and pearls in it. So it's like a very modern version of the classic old British racing green. It should look pretty good. And the interior, haven't got that far. Haven't really decided yet. Other than I know Mrs. K likes like that like an off-white or champagne kind of coloured interior, but it'll be a little bit upgraded from what the Alpine came with. A little more luxurious. And a Remu dash. Now, what else have we got? Brad Eastham, hey Kiwi, would you run a 600 CF carby on a stock 302? Yeah, 600 is plenty for it. It's plenty for it. I wouldn't, on a stock 302, I would not go any bigger than that. And you could go to one of those what do they make it? They're 500 and something CFM Holly, but 600 will be fine. Those little bit smaller ones are quite a bit more expensive. So yeah, I'd just go with a 600 there. Quite affordable. So yeah. Volfly 600 is just right for 302. There you go, Volfly. We're on the same page, mate. Max level. Screensaver goes up while the bourbon flows like a river. Old timer, Chris Freeman. So we used engine oil cut with 1/3 diesel. It worked. Like I was a rust proofer. Yeah. Charles still frozen. Well, let's go to the bottom of the comments. Hopefully I'm still back. Gotcha now, Kiwi. Stephen Carter. Every time my neighbour has seaplane and nav blanks me out, I swear, rich bastard. His navigation blanks you out. Wow, that would seaplane. Yeah, not a cheap toy. Paul Cochran, not enough people hitting the like button. Got to feed the algorithm. Paul is right. Yeah, please hit the like button. It does help boost the videos. Same when you're watching the videos. It works on the live stream as well, obviously. But the videos, hit the like button. That hype thing is really taking off on YouTube. So you all get 3 hypes a week, is my understanding, for videos you can hype. So if you feel like hyping one of my videos, that would be awesome. And it does seem to help. Firefly, the horn contact to spring lead is a common fail. Yeah, I mean, it just wasn't even there. They hadn't even tried. Like the wiring on the back, there was 2 wires on the back of the horn button once you popped it out, and they'd never, ever been connected to anything ever. So, yeah. Stephen Carter, your car repair will always have value, not a hack. Well, yeah, I'd like to think so, but thank you. Yeah. Chris Freemason, will you be dusting off the paint booth and painting it yourself? Probably not. I'm gonna see. Gonna get my buddy Kevin Tates to paint it. That's kind of the plan at this stage. Great painter, and we both help each other out quite a lot. So yeah, I mean, I'll do all the prep on it, get it ready for him to just kind of walk in, do the glamour stuff and walk out again. So yeah, and he'll admit that like a good paint job is all about the prep. It's all about what you do before the paint goes on. That really makes the difference between a good paint job and a fantastic paint job. What have we got? Pickle Bob, he's back. Yep. Charles Dalton, oh my gosh, dark green metallic, heck yes. Yeah, have a look at the, if you go to my posts, you'll see, I'll say I put a little picture of it up just because I was just looking for something to put with the post, and here's this colour that we kind of settled on. So yeah, it's pretty cool. The like, Steve Sadusky, you got to do something about your like button, but it really shouldn't be hitting your back, and I have to wonder what you might be drinking, to be honest. But hey. Mark Taylor, I was number 33 on the like button. Let's keep it climbing. That would be cool. Steve Sadusky, you are so lucky to have Kevin paint Large Marge, Kiwi. He is a perfectionist. Yeah, he is. Yeah, Large Marge is sort of a fair way off painting, but mind you, so's the Alpine. But hey, the engine is at least up at the engine builders for March, so we're kind of making a start on that. Volfly, I've always wondered about adding a heated steering wheel to a car. Would have to eliminate the horn button and put it on something. Heating steering wheels are better than a heated seat. They are nice in a heated, in a cold climate. They're very nice. So why would you have to eliminate the horn button? What's that about? Why do they not complement each other? Volfly, nicer on work, hardened hands. Well, that's true, yeah. Yep, everything does get a little bit stiff in that freezing weather, doesn't it? Not in a good way. Oh, Chris Freemesser, like button is hitting him back. Must be drinking spring water. Okay, I see what you did there. Slideways 141. Do you have any recommendation on headers for a 66 Galaxy? Doug's header. I think it's Doug's headers make a good one for those. Assuming you've got an FE in it, a big block FE. The horn contact only supports one circuit on it. Oh, okay. So you have to have two. Okay. Yeah, and the heater's going to draw some power, isn't it? Of course, yeah. Yeah. Hadn't thought of that, but yeah, it would be nice to have. Now, Stephen Carter, Kev, he owes you for the doorpost, which was a fence post, and my best guess when it rolled into the ditch, old bodyman, not first rodeo. Okay. Sideways, 428. Yeah. Oh, gosh. I've got a set of headers. I've got a 427, which is pretty much the same, in a Mustang at work, and that's got a set of tri-wire headers on it. But I don't remember off the top of my head what the brand is, unfortunately. I don't, and they fitted really well. Everything clears. They're not too. They don't hang too low. They're a good set of headers, but I can't remember the brand name. I'll have to have a look and try and shoot me an email if you like, and I will have a look at it. I mean, I'm it's there at work. I can just walk over and have a look tomorrow. So here's the email. Wildfly. I suppose I might try using a split horn contactor, like something Ford uses. Okay, not even familiar with that, but that could be a pain. Well, as I imagine so. Hey, here's a question for you electronics gurus. I was working on a Cougar today, which had the typical Pertronics, electronic ignition upgrade, and it appeared to be running the stock wiring. And I said to the customer when he dropped it in, I said, it looks like the resistor wire hasn't been removed. And he goes, oh yeah. He goes, yeah, I think it has. He says, because I checked the voltage at the coil, and it's got 12 volts. I'm like, okay, well, I'll have a look. I'll check it out. And I had my doubts because it was just the original skinny little wire that they had. And so I checked the voltmeter on it, and sure enough, it had like 12.5 volts, with like a tenth of a volt, 0.1 of a volt less than what the battery had without the engine running. Fired it up, checked the voltage again, down to 8.5 volts. And it's like, that's confusing. How is it that, without the engine running, the resistor wire is letting 12 volts through, and once it's running, it's letting, it was actually working. It was reducing the voltage. But yeah, when I first put the voltmeter on, I thought, oh, someone has deleted it and just left the original old wiring in the engine bay. But no, it actually was not. So, what makes that resistor wire work only when it's running? So yeah, who's got an answer for that one? Yeah, what do we got? Second Carter, the Camaro got dumped into a ditch and the post pushed it back. I live in farm country, but I'm with you. Okay. Volfly, resistor has a voltage drop when there's a load on it. Okay. I did wonder if it was something like that, but I didn't, the draw through the coil is the load. Yeah. Okay. I did kind of wonder that, but I wasn't sure enough to say that's what it'll be. But there was obviously just, okay. That makes sense. Oh, well, good to know. So there you go. Don't always just check the voltage when without the engine running, because it will give you a false reading. And quite a significant, that's a third, from 12 volt round figures, 12 volts down to 8 volts. There's a big difference. Tavo member, 2 months back on. Yeah. Good on you, Tavo. One of my founding members, so that's very cool. Back on Bathurst, sad news down here. Alan Moffat has been. Oh yeah, yep. Doesn't. Did we already read that one out? I think I did. Chris Freemasser, break in the wire, ends touching when the wire is cold, but a gap appears when it warms up and resistance increase. Breaking the wire? No, don't believe so. Don't believe so. Yeah, Charles Dalton, voltage will drop when the current increases. Yeah, that's that whole thing of electrics, the way it flows. But yeah, it just strangled the flow. It just can't get through, I guess, which is the resistance. So yeah, when the coil's actually hungry for power, as it were, it can't pull it through the wire. So Phil Dodge Fury, Australia. Good on you, mate. Welcome along. Jeff Hutchins, Dan customers finally let me loose. Yep, that can be a challenge. Mark Taylor, how are you going to modify the Alpine's transmission tunnel to accept the new drive light? Well, in theory, if what I'm wanting to do works, it'll be a Mazda Miata drive tunnel. So, and like a TKO will fit in there just fine without any modification. There's enough room for it in a Miata tunnel because they do a lot of V8 swaps on Miatas. And like you can buy the engine mounts ready for a small block Ford or a LS, and the 5-speeds just drop straight in there. They have a cross member available, ready-made transmission cross members, kind of everything you need, which was part of the appeal of the Miata frame. Because just make a few clicks on the computer and have a bunch of stuff that's ready to actually bolt together. So it appeals. Volfly, I always use an ohm meter as opposed to looking for voltage drop. I need the numbers to crunch. Fair enough. It is a beer getting to the ignition switch end of the particular wire that you need to measure the ohms on. But yeah, I see how that would be probably the best way to most accurate way to do it. Tavo, might have read that while the circle of doom was spinning. Oh, maybe I replied to it and you didn't hear me because nobody heard me. But yes, I was talking about Alan Moffat and how what a great driver he was. Canadian, I believe, wasn't he? Wasn't he Canadian? And yeah, he's kind of the picture I saw today of him. He's a bit of a shadow of his former self because he was a pretty solid guy. He wasn't one of these little skinny guys that so many of the race car drivers are today. He was a decent sized bloke, but yeah. Now, what have we got? Old, fat and tired, 6406. I have lurked here for a number of months. This is my first chance to join in the frivolity. Well, welcome along, bud. Good to have you here. Tell us what you're driving, what your hot rod is. If you're assuming you've got some sort of an old car that would bring you this direction. Volfly, with the motor not running, the transistorized ignition is not pulling power, no load. Okay. I figured it must be something like that, so it's good to know. But yeah, thanks for the great answer. Yeah, it's probably something if I get time, I'll probably do a video on that deleting of that resistor wire. And now I've got something a little more intelligent, to say, and give people a warning on not just assuming that voltage reading is accurate without the engine running. So cool, a little bit of information we can share with the people out there in YouTube land. Tavo, fighting a stock GTHO around a racetrack kind of builds up a few muscles. This is the truth. Yep. Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, it's a shame to see someone going like that with dementia. I mean, that's what got both my parents, and it's a horrible way to go. Denny Holm did it best, like clocking out at going down Conrod Straight at Bathurst on the big 200-mile-an-hour straight at Bathurst, and he clocked out and just slowly drifted to the side of the track to a halt, and everyone was puzzled, and commentators were thinking he'd run out of gas or the car had just broken, but there was nothing spectacular. He just drifted to the side of the track, and then as he started bouncing along the wall without trying to avoid the wall, everyone realised, okay, there's something wrong here. This is not good. And yeah, he clocked out for the final time, and yeah, but he went doing what he loved. So sure beats the heck out of dementia. I know that. Steve Sadusky, welcome to our madness, old fat and tired. We are all crazy loving old cars. Yep. It's a sickness. It's a sickness, for sure. Volfly, ohm meters work without load. I just go from battery positive, screw going through the rest of the system. Total resistance is pretty useful. The resistance in the ignition switch can skew things barely. Right. Yep. I mean, and I'm, realistically, I'm an amateur auto electrician. I had no formal training in that kind of stuff at all. So yeah, I know enough to kind of do a rewire on a simple car. Certainly nothing computerized. But yeah, when you get into there's a little bit of science in electronics for sure, and that's where it leaves me behind, unfortunately. But on the good old-fashioned cars, I can fix most of the electrical problems. But yeah, that did surprise me a little today, I'll be honest with you. But hey, like every day you learn something is a good day. So I was just glad that I didn't. I just thought I'm going to check it when it's running as well, because it just didn't quite seem right, and so I'm glad I did. Lang Connolly, any large March updates? Mate, the only update is that I've got the motor up at the machine shop and waiting for them to get to that and do some measuring on it, some ultrasonic testing, see how much wall thickness we've got in the bores, and make a call on whether we press on with that block. The amount of corrosion and crud inside the water galleries was a little concerning, but they do apparently have very thick castings, like the walls and the bores are very thick, and apparently 100 thou over bores is not out of the question with those engines. So hopefully there's enough left for us to give it I think it'll need a 40 or a 60 over by eyeballing it, amount of lip on the top of the bores. 40 might clean it up, but I'm not convinced. I'm not ready to put a big wager on the fact that we'll clean it up. I have a sneaky suspicion we might need to go 60 over, but time will tell. It's pretty hard trying to eyeball 20 thousandths of an inch inside a bore, so we'll see. But yeah, that's the only update, bro. Old fat and tired. Currently a 95 Dodge 1500 short wheelbase two-wheel drive. Playing with either a 5.9 Magnum or a new gen Hemi. Okay. Well, if you want, electronics, fuel injection, all that stuff, then the new gen Hemi is the way to go. If you want to keep it simple, 5.9 Magnum. That's how I'd be looking at it, and it's just which way you want to go, really. The new gen Hemi is a nice motor. Jeff Hutchins, that lightning spaghetti is nothing but trouble. Yeah. Sideways 141. The first time I tried Bathurst on iRacing, I figured out why everyone loves that place. I could only imagine how fun it would be to lap the track in real life. Yeah. We walked around it, and it was unreal. It was like, it's steep. And I was a young man then, and like it was hard work walking up. It was hard work. It's steep. But it's kind of like the banking at Daytona. Like on TV, it doesn't. It's Daytona Super Speedway. The TV doesn't look as steep as when you go there, and then you realise just how steep the banking is. It's difficult to like stand and walk on the banking at Daytona, but it doesn't look that steep on TV. And Bathurst, not saying Bathurst is as steep as Daytona, it's not, but it's a lot steeper than it looks. Stephen Carter, R is 5 volts on, 12 volts, 2 volts on start. The coil can't handle it, hence the ballast resistor. Follow the factory diagram for instructions. Fuse it all. Yep, good advice. Yeah, it's really not that. I just wasn't sure why I was getting those 2 voltage readings, one when it was running, one when it wasn't. But now I get it. Now I understand. Tavo, I can build a 70 Valiant wiring harness off the top of my head. All 16 wires. Yes, it was pretty simple, wasn't it? Pretty simple. What did they have? 5 wires going to the back of the car? And then what was that? The other 11 up to the front, Yeah. Jeff Hutchins, old, fat and tired. Over 96 Ram, 2500 two-wheel drive, 5-speed, standard cab, long bed. That's a mouthful, isn't it? I'm stealing the Cummins out for a 95 V10 custom crew cab Ram. I already have a shortbread. That's the right colour. Nice. Jeff Hutchins, going to make a 96 V10 2500 two-wheel drive short bed 5-speed manual. That'll be a neat old truck, won't it? V10 2500 two-wheel drive short bed 5-speed manual. That's a test of the brain cells, just remembering that. End of time. Hi from communist Canada. Oh, goodness me. Volfly, be right back. Okay, man, we're all waiting here for you, bud. Old, fat and retired. The Magnums are very limited in performance parts. It is strange to think that 95 Dodge is old, but it's 30 years old. Yeah, it's old, man. Not happy growing old. The ground keeps getting lower and harder. Yes, very true, sir. Very true. Yeah. So the Magnums aren't limited in performance parts. I didn't realise that. I thought you could get heads and intakes and all that kind of stuff. Cams. Yeah. Didn't realise they were hard for performance parts. Now, I'm not sure whether I missed anything further back up here while I was off in La La Land scrolling. You said that. Jeff R. Kiwi finishing at the bourbon. No, I just froze, that's all. I'm back now. Right, Tavo. Speaking of wiring, I'm just here having a break from rewiring my shed. Yeah. Head's not in a good place for working on cars, so messing with 240-volt wiring instead. There you go. Just make sure you've got the power turned off, brother. We don't want to hear about toasted Australians. Yeah. So, yeah, be careful out there. At least with 12 volts, it doesn't really hurt, Jeff Hutchins, 95, 30 years old. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? A 2020, a 2000 car is an old car now. It's pretty old. And 95, well, yeah. Josh Homan, a bit hard for me to believe as well. Yeah. Volfly, no main lines for me. You're going to keep it at 12 volts, Volfly. A little bit safer that way. So, comments have gone quiet. We've got lots of likes, so it's good. What's been going on in my little corner of the world, mate? I was in Bourbon Street on Saturday night. Went down to New Orleans, NOLA, and had a great weekend down there. Went down there Friday afternoon, met up with my sister who's visiting from New Zealand, and we met up with her and her husband, and we had a couple of nights on the town in New Orleans, which was a lot of fun. And then we all jumped on the plane and came back Sunday night. So, yeah, I got guests who have now jumped on a plane and taken off to New York for 4 days, 5 days, and then they'll be back. So, yeah, a couple of extra Kiwis in the country right now. Volfly 6-volt system still kind of mess with me. Yeah, I've got very little experience with 6-volt, very, very little. And that's okay. I'm all right with that. Old, fat, and tired. We might have to shorten. We might call you old OF and OFT. We got a LVG, but he's not here tonight. I haven't seen Lower Man's Vintage Garage, but OFT, brother, is your new nickname. Intakes are down to 1 jaw plane unless you drill the heads to fit LA intake. Oh, the Magnums and the LAs are different, aren't they? Of course, not many cams out there. Magnum out of production since early 2000s. Yeah. 2020, pushing 25 years ago, they went out of production. So, Paul Funk, 240 volt for a shed. Yes, 240 volt. That's the standard voltage in like New Zealand, Australia, England, most of Europe too, I think, is 240 volts. America's kind of the odd one out with their 110. Most of the rest of the world runs on your basic house wiring, shed wiring is 240 volts. And then, like if you go into for the big heavy electric stuff, they go into what they call 3-phase wiring. Then it starts to lose me. I don't quite understand after it gets to that point. But yeah, 240 volt is kind of the lowest voltage, household voltage you get in those countries. So it's not that he's putting masses of power into a shed. That's just normal. Josh Oman, working on mains isn't for everyone. No, I've been zapped a few times from mains power. Chavo, it kind of hit me in an odd way. My neon is eligible for historic registration. Just doesn't seem right. No, I agree. Antique tags here, which is kind of what you're talking about, historic registration. And on cars that seem a long way from antique, but when you actually do the math, it's like, they are kind of old. It's just that we're ancient, so they don't seem quite as old. So, yeah. Tavo's saying Australia is 240 volt across the board, Chris Freemes, residential wiring here is only 120 volts, so it's half as dangerous as Aussie wiring. Yeah, it's a different amperage, though. It's all that amps and stuff like that. It's the 120 volt here is it's just as lively. It's a different shock too. It shows how good I am at electrics. I've actually managed to get myself zapped on 240 and 120, and the 120 is quite different. It's not any doesn't feel any less powerful when you're hanging onto the wrong end of the wire. Trust me. Volfly, I always have to recalculate for the ballast resistor on 6-volt systems. They are pretty touchy on everything. Yeah, it's okay. So they use ballast resistors on 6-volt systems as well. Wow, I thought the voltage would have been low enough they wouldn't need to use a resistor. Huh. Interesting. OFT, I've been called worse. Haven't we all, mate? Haven't we all? The Lower Man, and we were just talking about you. The Lower Man's Vintage Garage, LVG, like right above you. We've just christened Old Fat and Tired OFT. So OFT and LVG are in the house. So that's cool. Paul Funk. Oh, yeah, that's right, Tavo. Forgot you were down under. Right. Mark Taylor, looks like Scotch. Yum. Actually, tonight I'm drinking Jack Daniel's apple bourbon. So, yeah, quite nice. Chris Freeman said Japan is 120 volts too. I didn't know that. David Tyree, I've got 240 volt and 400 volt in my shed. Nice. You got some serious shit happening in your shed, obviously. Yeah, 3-phase, 415 volt. Yeah. Not many people have 3-phase. That's fairly heavy duty wiring. OFT 3-phase electric is like magnets, the work of the devil. Slideways. It would have been awesome to have 220. To have 220 be the standard for residential. I could run a proper welder in my garage. Yeah, it's yeah, you probably could. Yeah. OFT Magneto. Yep, that's it. Josh Homan until you get zapped. Yeah, well, you don't want to get a 3-phase. You don't want to get a belt from 3-phase. That's for sure. Josh Homan, Japan is only 100 volts, if I'm not mistaken. I really didn't know that. Interesting. Volfly reminds me on my 3-phase experiments with alternators was all set to make a 12-volt 3-phase inverter when they came out with them for RC brushless motors for RC cars. Starter generator was the plan. There you go. Oh, quite the entrepreneur there, Volfly. That would have been. Yeah, you're obviously pretty clever with your electronics there, brother. Jeff Hutchins, most people shorten my name to SOB. Well, not going to call anybody here that, I don't think. Snow Crusher, I've got a 46 Ford dash pulled apart, replacing the wireless remote door opener module. Shaped door handles. Oh, yeah. Of course, I've seen it, yeah. Yeah, that's a cool old Ford, that. Very retro in its hot rod style. It's a pretty cool car. But yeah, that was that era where no shaved door handles and door poppers and stuff was all the rage. So yeah, it's a neat little time capsule, that car. Mark Taylor, any opinion on phase converters? No, none at all. Don't know enough about them to have an opinion. Wildfly, starting a car with an alternator would freak out a few people. The belt ratio would be about right. My Audi has the alternator starts the engine. When it does that stopping at the traffic lights and shit, it's the alternator that kicks it on again. So yes, certainly I don't really know how it works. I just know that it works. And they had a big recall on them because they were having problems with them. So I'm not sure. My one didn't have any problems, but they changed it out anyway. But yeah, there was something weird going on with their alternators. Hang on. There we go. What happened there? Chris Freemesser, Josh Homan. I seem to recall Japan has 2 different voltages. One in the north half of the country and another in the south. Wow, that's weird. That seems a crazy thing to do. So potentially one side of the street could be 100 volts and the other side of the street could be 200 volts, depending where your street is. That's crazy. Lane Conley. If you have 120 volts, you also have 240. 120 is between a hot and neutral. 240 is between the 2 hot wires. Not I'll say something out of line here, but I don't believe that's how it works in New Zealand and Australia. It's straight 240 volts out the hot wire, because you have a hot, you have a neutral, and you have a ground, and the neutral does not have power in it. Obviously, the ground doesn't have power in it, and there's 240 coming down the hot wire. So that's my understanding of it anyway. LVG picked up a set of Mercury heads for my flathead Ford this weekend. They are supposed to float. What? Okay, how does a flathead head flow better? That you've confused me now. Or does it just? Oh, I guess there is sort of. Yeah, I guess they could flow after the valve opens. Your intake charge is going to hit the head and then has to move sideways to get truly into the combustion chamber. So I guess a flathead could be seen as flowing, have a better flow. Different flathead heads could flow better. If I think about it, it makes a little bit of sense. But I'm thinking of heads with valve in the heads, and you've got all the shape of the port before the valve. Interesting. Again, showing my ignorance on flathead engines. I really don't know much about them. Chavo, oddly out here in the middle of nowhere, my house is 3-phase already. Huh, that's cool. Just need to call the network supplier to do a couple of tweaks and I'll be good to go. Billing is quite different though. Yeah, I'll bet. Would you need 3-phase for what you're doing, Tavo? You need 3-phase if you've got big mills and like big equipment, but not typically for home workshop type things. A few guys have it, but it's not very common, or at least it wasn't when I was there. Josh Homan, 2 different frequencies, 50 hertz in the northern half of the country and 60 hertz in the southern half. Okay. Yeah, that I never really did follow that whole amps and hertz and that. It's like, what? Gillian Green, going back to Bathurst, did you see the Toyota Supra going around? They are planning to have them next year, I think. Yes, they're having them next year. That's what I believe too. I saw a thumbnail, a little clip that they did a few laps with it, but I haven't watched the video. So I believe it's the same chassis though as the other two are running, as the Mustang and the Camaro. I believe it's the same chassis. Should go just fine. But yeah, it'd be good to have a third brand in there. And Toyota's a big player, so it's good to have them on board. It can't hurt the racing. How much it'll help the racing, that's up for discussion, I guess. It certainly can't make it worse. It can only make it better. So hopefully it does make it a lot better. I'd like to see them having steel opening doors and windows that wind up and down, and like be a road car, kind of like NASCAR in the old days. Not that they had wind up windows, but the early NASCARs were really actually based on showroom cars, and the earlier Aussie supercars were based on showroom cars. Like the teams bought the body shells from Ford or from GM, and they bought like the body shells as they were halfway down the assembly line, without all the mechanicals and painted or any of that stuff. They were genuinely, your Ford race car or your GM Holden race car was a Ford, and it was a Holden. It wasn't a bunch of carbon panels that made to look like one car or another over a tubular space frame. And that's where they lost their personality, I think. Volfly, they beat me to it and did it better than me. I had transistors the size of Chrysler ballast resistors ready to go. They did it smaller and better. Oh, well, hey, it was worth a try, man. Um, Worth a try, you know. But yeah, you obviously, like great minds think alike. So you were on the same track as them, or they were on the same track as you. Um, Jeff Hutchins, I have a gunsmithing shop. Back in 2018, it seemed weird to be able to sell a gun to someone born in 2000. Yeah. Now people born well into the 2000s, 2004 can even buy handguns. I'm old. Yeah, mate. It's you do get reminded of that more and more often, don't you? Kind of snuck up on me. It's like, yeah, now it seems like every day there's some little reminder of just how old we've become. But hey, I'm still 30 in my head, so it's all good. As long as I feel like I'm think I'm young, I guess it's the best you can hope for. Um, so, still young enough to make bad decisions. So, yeah. Chris Freemesser, that's right. I knew it was something weird like that. Yeah. Yeah, I really don't understand that whole Hertz thing. It's kind of lost on me. Firefly, Jeff Hutchins, ever try to make the Russian silent pistol with subsonic rounds? It's a weird looking gun. Okay. Again, outside my knowledge range, we don't have many guns. Well, the criminals have a few guns in New Zealand, but it's not a gun culture. Chris Freemesser, in the US, 240 volt is created using two 120 volt lines that are 180 degrees out of phase. Yeah, and it's different in New Zealand, Aussie, and Europe. It's a straight, it's a 240 volt line, like one. So, Lang Conley, I was talking about the US. Okay, mate. Fair enough. Okay. Volfly, the tire balancers use three phase. Really? Huh? Didn't know that. Three phase or 240 volt, or is that what you're calling three phase? Possibly that's what three phase is in New Zealand. It's like two of the 240 volts coming in, 180 degrees out of phase. That's probably what it is. Chris Freemes, I work at university. All of the undergrads were born after I started working there. Talk about feeling old. Oh dear. Yeah, that would be a little depressing, wouldn't it? OFT, the more amps, the more it hurts. Yeah, well, that's probably very true. They say it's the amps that'll kill you. Volfly, be right back, checking for dinner. Got to check on that pizza, see if it's thawed out, eh? Tavo, most hoist lifts are three phase. Hard to find a decent capacity single phase one, but my shed is too low for one anyway. Oh, okay. Okay. Jeff Hutchins, I really like the Magnum motors, roller cam, good heads, but always cracked. Multi-port EFI, 400 horsepower is pretty easy to get, but you need the computer tuned. 400 horses fun. And good for any real use, yeah. Tavo, Toyota-shaped body on a generic chassis. Yep, that's the name of the game. That's the name of the game. Steve Sadusky, my dinner is cooked. Mate, mine was cooked a couple of hours ago and eaten a couple of hours ago. Well, about a couple of hours ago. Jeff Hutchins, in my early 50s, I only feel a little old, but I know what you mean. Yeah. Early 50s is just a baby. You're just young, man. Just young. Granddad's junk. Look who showed up. Another Kiwi in the house. Good to have you here, bud. How you doing? Oh, damn. Tavo, pre-supercar, the team's got a whole Holden or Falcon, prepped it and raced it. Those were the days. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. I mean, I sometimes ask myself, is it just because it's what we knew then, or was it really better, or is it just, are we just being like old and bar humbug, but the more I think about it, the more it's like, yeah, it really, I really do think it was better when they all the different race formulas, not just Aussie touring cars, but yeah, the NASCARs, the old Trans Ams, SCCA racing, when they raced Boss 302 Mustangs and the fancy Camaros and stuff, and they all they were showroom cars. I mean, obviously race prepped, heavily, but it generally was something you could go into the showroom and buy. Not really the same, essentially the same car, but just in stock form. And I just think it was better. Okay. Granddad's joke. Is there problems with the stream? I hope not. Have I frozen again? Hopefully I haven't frozen again. Not sure. Am I here? Can you hear me? Or have I tuned out again? Tavo, we're just being boomers, Kiwi. What we knew then and can't adapt to change. That does worry me. I mean, I hope that's not the case, but there's a little nagging doubt, I'll be honest with you, in the back of my mind. It's like, yeah, are we just being boomers and just being grumpy old men and not wanting change, change bad, or, it's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's funny though. I remember having, when I was probably around 20, maybe 19 or something like that, I had a 69 Torino, and there was a guy from the Hot Rod Club, and he was an older guy and I was the young guy, and I remember him grumping at me going, these aren't, I felt like I had a hot rod, and I was in the North Shore Rod and Custom Club and stuff like that with my 69 Torino, and he's like, that's not a hot rod, and he was really like, it had to be, hot rods were 1930s and 40s cars, and he didn't really care for, the 60s stuff. And okay, it was, when was that? So that would have been in the very early 80s, like 1980. And so, yeah, he wasn't keen on what was then the newer stuff. So, yeah, maybe I've just become that old guy, I don't know. Volfly, I'm not really a gun person. Prefer knives and swords, Ren Fair, and all that fun. My daughter's heavily into that Renaissance Fair stuff. Whenever that's on, it's on every year around Franklin, and yeah, she loves that shit. Jeff Hutchins, I usually work late, night owl. My oldest daughter always brings me dinner on Tuesday nights. Just here waiting patiently. I like working late. Few of those pesky humans out at night. Yeah, well, there's a lot of truth to that. Volfly still on the air, Kiwi. Oh, good. Glad I'm still on the air. Lang Conley, the SC in NASCAR stands for stock car. Yes, that's right. No longer the case. It's just Formula NASCAR now. Yeah. If we are becoming grumpy old men, well, so be it. We can all be grumpy old men together, and to hell with the rest of them, eh? Let me just go up here and see what I missed. Tavo, that's what did I miss that one? That's the difference between us, Kiwi. I'm a couple of years younger than you, but where you feel 30, I feel 90. Oh dear, that's no good, mate. Yeah, you don't look a day over 80. I've seen your videos, but yeah. Slideways, the hardest part of walking into a gas station is seeing you must be born before date to buy alcohol posted beside to buy beer. Yeah, yeah. Chris Freemasson only takes about 100 milliamps to kill you. Really? There must be some caveat to that. 100 milliamps combined with what? Steve Sadusky, I'm not older than, I'm just wiser. Damn, I must be wiser than I realised. That's all I can say. Lane Conley, three phases, 120 degrees apart. Okay, well, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Okay. There you go. So off automotive topic tonight is household power systems. Three phase, 240, 120, all the rest of it. So yeah, you just never quite know what it's going to be, do you? Granddad's junk, the joys of living off the grid. There you go. OFT. I have ported a number of Magnum heads. The crack isn't really a problem in a problem area. I had a set that wasn't cracked, cut back the high spot between the valve openings, and has held on. There you go. Okay, where are we up to here? Whoop. Chris Freeman. Not everything that's new is good. Not everything that's old is bad. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Stephen Carter grew up on Can-Am. My old man always built for something miles endurance and not get hot. There you go. Hansabar. You made it. Good on you, man. Welcome along. The LVG just got my flathead spark plug chaser tap. And for me flatheads. Time for threading. There you go. Something to do tonight. Jeff Hutchins, here we are complaining about technology while using the interweb, computers and smartphones to talk to each other on different continents at the same time. Well said, Mr. Hutchins. Well said. Yes. Steve Sadusky. I'm not a grumpy old man. I'm just grumpy. There you go. Tavo. I'm worse than you, Kiwi. At least you embrace your blue thing as a nice car to own. I have only my 08 van begrudgingly because I have to accept it does the job better than an old one. Yeah, it's yeah, I've never really been there's a lot of guys out there, and everyone's right in their own way. A lot of guys that just won't touch anything late model, and they're very anti, and they want it as old and simple as possible. And maybe I'm a fence sitter. I don't know what you want to call me, but I like the old simplicity, and I like a little bit of state of the art stuff as well. There's some very tricky shit out there. And it's kind of cool. So yeah, why can't you like both? Yeah. Lane Codley, you all may be grumpy old men. I'm working on curmudgeon. There you go. Now, what's this? Granddad's junk. It's that bad they served rice pudding at the pie shop. No. Oh God, I can't. Yeah, rice pudding. Ugh. They used to give you rice pudding at school in New Zealand. God, it was awful. It was usually all cold and congealed by the time you got it at school lunches. God, it was awful. Um, Chris Freeman said, "True, Jeff, but I work in IT, so I know how much of a pain in the ass it is to keep all of this tech running and secure." Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we've definitely made, what do they say? Made a rod for your back with all the technology now, especially as we can't live without it. Yeah. Gosh, I remember a number of, must be 6 years ago now. Some guy blew up a van in downtown National, right by the AT&T building, and it was a target. Yeah, he wanted to do some damage to AT&T. And he set off a big ass bomb, did a lot of damage in downtown Nashville, and it was on, I think it was Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. It might have been Christmas Day that the bomb went off. And to be fair to the guy, he blew himself to bits, but he actually had a recording going over a speaker system and telling people to get the hell out, because he didn't actually want to kill people. He wanted to blow the shit out of the AT&T building because he had a gripe with them. I can't quite remember why, but he didn't. It was a big ass bomb and it did a huge amount of damage, but nobody got really hurt except him. But that was his choice. But yeah, anyway, back to the point was that we had 3 days with no internet, no Netflix, no nothing, and we had to play games, we had to talk to each other, and it was pretty cool. It was kind of good. Was ready to get, I'll be honest, ready to get, the iPhones back and stuff after 3 days, because you did feel a little cut off from the rest of the world. But it was quite refreshing, and especially like on Christmas Day and the day after Christmas and stuff like that, when there's family around and stuff like that, and it really, in that aspect, it wasn't a bad thing. The whole thing was a bad thing, but the fact of being without technology for 3 days was quite refreshing. Stephen Carter, fellow Sparkies. There you go. Jeff R. Bathurst 1000 was once a 500-mile race for production cars, and thus we were blessed with the production specials with race-grade brakes, gear ratios, etc. Yeah, it was 500 miles, and then it became the Bathurst 1000. Yeah, I remember those days. That was it's pretty wild. It was a while ago. But yeah, they were. And they had what was the other road they had in New Zealand? They had the Benson and Hedges 500, which was a production car. And they really were pretty much production cars, and you got all sorts. You got little Hondas racing against Valiants and stuff like that. They were in different classes and stuff like that, but it was some interesting racing. Jeff Hutchins, Volfly, the case expands into the cylinder gap. The cylinder moves forward, resultant cylinder gap is negated. Oh, he's talking about the gun. Okay, I wonder why. I was like, huh? What's he talking about? He's talking a different language, but he's talking about guns, which it kind of is a different language. Granddad's junk. Jeff, the C-class production racing was much better watching. Yeah. No, I mean, at the end of the day, not everybody likes the same things, but yeah, it's some of that, and I really think it just comes back to the fact that they were cars that we could truly relate to. They were cars that we could get in, and like we could buy one if we wanted. We could drive something that was not a race car, but it was a lot closer to what was on the racetrack, and it just made it seem a little bit more real somehow. They weren't these superstars in incredible cars that were just in a different kind of stratosphere, really, compared to the driving to work every day. David Tyree, we have to use the interweb. The pigeons were too bloody slow. Very true. Jeff Hutchins, I had to work for 5 to 10 minutes to get my phone to let me comment on this live stream or whatever it is. It is a live stream, but yeah. Volfly, rice pudding is tasty. Not the stuff they used to serve us at school. It was not. Lane Connolly, the internet sure makes finding old car parts easier. Very true. Yeah, you see, you can't have it both ways, can you? We can't be kind of locked in that golden era of the past and have the stuff we like about today. You can't have the good stuff from back then and the good stuff from today. The good stuff from back then was waiting 6 weeks for parts, if you could find them, instead of next day shipping, and being updated as to just the location of your part every few hours as it's making its way across the country. Things sure are different. Jeff Hutchins. Some people ate the pigeons. Oh, I guess, yeah. Elaine, yeah, Tarbo's agreeing with you, Elaine. Snow Crusher. Some say points will always get you home, but as soon as you install a new set, they start to wear out and go out of tune. Yeah. Yep. That Falcon I had a while back, though. People say that, a set of points will always get you home, but, I was driving home in that old, what was it, 60, that yellow two-door Falcon that I had, 68, I think it was, Falcon. And I put new points and condenser in that, and the bloody condenser cracked out going home. I had to get towed. Because I didn't have a single tool with me. So points don't always get you home. If you can readjust them and get it going again, they'll get you home. But, when they die, they die. OFT. I have many gripes. Mainly I'm 65 years old and have no clue how I got here. That's a question for your mum and dad, brother. They'll tell you how you got here. You may not like the story, but yeah. Stephen Carter, we need to spread knowledge before us old farts push up daisies. I like AI and nuclear power for the future. Yeah, I'm not sure about AI. I think nuclear power is it's going to have to be. I'm not sure about AI. Not sure about that. If I watch a movie, I like to watch a human playing the part. AI is kind of like just super real animation. Chris Freeman said there are 12 primary servers that basically keep the entire internet operational. Take those servers out, the internet totally disappears. Yeah, that's a little scary, isn't it? I guess that's the sort of knowledge you would have, Chris. Is just what I didn't realize it was just 12 servers. Wow. So if the hackers or the terrorists really wanted to, I can't imagine how well that stuff's protected. How they don't go down. How some terrorist group / hackers hasn't destroyed all of that already, But yeah, I guess guys like you, Chris, are working in the background to keep it all safe. Craig Nearing, speaking of no internet, hello. Where have you been, Craig? I mean, really, come on. We got 20 minutes left. What's your excuse? Jeff Hutchins, no interweb, run for the hills. Now that I depend on it, though, it sucks when it's out when you need it for work. Oh, yeah. And then when it's slow, like I'll get on my phone trying to find a part for something and it's for whatever reason, it's decided to be on a go slow, and it's like, God damn it, it's taking more than 3 seconds to load the page, And then you remember back to the dial-up days. It's like, oh, yes. We're very demanding, really, as a species. Evolve flights almost this season for mulled cider. Just have to add some cognac to it. Okay. Never tried that, but it sounds interesting. Steve Sadusky. I'm going to be 61, but I don't feel a day over 60. The other one, they say you're only as old as the woman you feel, so there you go. LVG, yep, I shut off my phone for 1 day a week to keep my sanity. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Granddad's junk, as the old saying goes, race on Sunday, sell on Monday. I mean, there was a huge amount of truth to that, and that applied to circuit racing, NASCAR racing, drag racing. Yeah. Tavo, what I think made the difference if Holden, Ford, or Chrysler built the faster, better handling and reliable car, it won. No rules governing equalisation. Yeah. It does. It's become quite contrived, and some people like that, and a lot of people don't. But if you're if you're a Ford fan. And Ford are just, everyone has their little turn at the top. And, so if your Ford's just not getting the job done for 3 or 4 years and you're a diehard Ford fan, it kind of gets a bit old. And the other cars have just got more horsepower. You kind of get a little bit disgruntled with it, So that's what they were trying to do with that equalisation thing. Not saying they're getting it right. That was really the thought process behind it. They wanted the racing close, so everybody had a chance of winning. They did that a lot in the British touring cars. Every time you won a race, you got more ballast to slow you down, to give the other guys a chance of winning. And if you won the next race, they would give you more ballast. And if you won a third one in a row, they would give you more ballast, more weight to carry until that was seriously contrived results, because basically if you won a couple of times, be ready, because your turn to not win is coming real soon, because they would just kneecap you until you couldn't. It didn't matter who was driving the car, you couldn't win. And then as your results faded, you got some lesser results, then they would take the ballast back out and allow you a little bit closer to the front. And it was there was a formula for it. It wasn't just some random number of kilograms or pounds they decided to take out. But yeah, every time you won a race, you got an extra 20 kilos, which is 45 pounds roughly added. And then if you still managed to, if you had a flying race car and you won again with that extra weight, then you got another 25. So yeah, it was very, very contrived, but it could also be quite good racing to watch, because the cars were very close and the drivers were having to pull some pretty desperate maneuvers to get past. Yeah. Michael Sama, 2008. Good evening, Kiwi. Checking in from just down Carter's Creek. There you go. Bourbon and cigar on the front deck. Well, good on you, man. Welcome along. Carter's Creek. That's very close to work. So yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Tavo, new parts for old tech just don't seem to be made the same. New doesn't always mean good now. No, well, yep, that's another issue we've got to deal with, is poor reproduction parts. But like I said, we're a hard bunch to please. If parts are good quality but they're very expensive, people complain about that too. They want to be able to get a part for and go, wow, that's cheap. Let's get 2 of them. But yeah, if all the quality of all the parts was like 100% improved, then the prices are going to be 100% higher. So and then people complain about that. So yeah, hard. It's a tough crowd. We're a tough crowd. Old, fat, and tired. I was adopted. Mum was as pure as the driven snow. Yeah, rightio. There you go. Yeah. Did she sell used cars at the weekends as well? Yeah, none of our mums were as pure as the driven snow. That's just something we like to try and tell ourselves, but the truth is actually something a little different. No disrespect to your mother at all intended, none, like absolutely none. But yeah, they had a good time too, and good on them. That's how good on them. Snow Crusher, the quality of new condensers is crap nowadays. Yeah, I'll attest to that. It did not. I had 9 miles home, and I did not make it home. Yeah. So, and I put it in that day. So yeah. Firefly, Snow White. Yeah. Granny's Shank, dead right, Tava, unless you can get NOS parts. Yeah. Well, they're getting harder to find, aren't they? Craig Nearing, never throw away an old condenser. Put it in the glove box along with a screwdriver. True, you're absolutely right, and I didn't do that, and I paid for a tow truck. So yeah, lesson learned. But I really didn't think it was going to give up on the way home. But yeah, they never really give up when you expect them to, do they? Jeff Hutchins, I'm a fan of the GM HEI conversion on my Mopar. Okay, just the module, remote mounted on a heatsink with a Chrysler electronic distributor. I throw another module in the glove box and Bob's your uncle. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Steve Sadusky, you are correct, Tavo. He is. Chris Freemason, it's actually 13 root servers, my bad. Oh, well, we'll let you off. As for AI, I've worked in IT all my life and no tech has ever been created that's so ripe for misuse and abuse as AI. Agreed. Yeah, there's some, you really can't believe anything you see anymore, unless it's like literally with your own eyes, live, not, if you're seeing it on a screen, it could be anything. As you say, Chris, it's I think it's AI is going to bring us a lot of grief in the future. Jeff Hutchins, I choose to believe I was immaculately conceived. Me and Jesus, there you go. All right. Well, mate, if you can turn water into wine, then you need to come see me, brother. I'll give you a free tour of the workshop and we can have a red wine together. How about that? OFT, AOL just shut down its dial-up. I didn't know there was a dial-up service still going. Just shut down its dial-up service? I had no idea. Jeff Hutchins, Tavo, I agree. If someone makes better stuff, they should win until someone else catches up. Screw the equalization crap. As a Mopar fan, I'm used to that. Long droughts of wins followed by short periods of domination. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like that in Formula One. They do have a set of rules to abide to, but there's always a team that's dominant, and they typically have their turn at the top for a few years, and then someone else catches up, and away they go. Like, McLaren 3-4 years ago was a dog of a team. Now they're dominating, and Ferrari are nowhere. Mercedes McLaren, who was a super dominant team, not anymore. They'll be back. They will come back, but not anymore. Williams, who had a golden run for a long time with like the Nigel Mansells and Riccardo Patrese and some of their drivers, they were super dominant. And the Williams, I'd be hard pressed to tell you who the two drivers are for Williams anymore. But I can remember the drivers from the 80s. Jeff Hutchins. I really, realistically, I'm with you. I think some of the equalisation is better than others, but really, it should be just, who's dominant is dominant. Volfly, we all have our time machines, don't we? Some take us forward, others to take us back. The 2002 time machine. Yep. Granddad's joke. Truth is, we just enjoy moaning. Nothing like a good whinge to make you feel better. Jeff Hutchins. They had a good time too. My favourite Kiwi quote. Here you go. Yeah, it's not a pleasant thought, but it's the reality of it all, isn't it? Chris Freeman, would you like some cheese to go with your wine? There used to be a joke like that. I don't know what that triggered my memory, but Dick Johnson, who was is a very famous Australian touring car driver. I remember seeing someone write about him. They said, what was Dick Johnson's favourite wine? And the answer was, engine's got no grunt, mate. That was his famous wine, because he was running the 302 Ford and the Mustang, and the Holdens were the 308s, and they always had a bit more power than him. So that was his favourite wine / whinge. Was he didn't have any grunt, otherwise he could have won. Now that's not saying what I believe for the Dick Johnson fans out there. Don't eviscerate me. That's just something I read once. It did make me smile. Volfly, introducing the AI politician. It lies but doesn't die. Oh my God, that's the scariest thing I've heard all night, Volfly. Really, that's terrible. Scary, but because it might be true. Yeah. Craig Nearing, Bosch make the best condensers. Okay. Pretty sure Bosch, there's Chris Freeman, pretty sure Bosch stopped making condensers and points. I have to say, I haven't seen Bosch points or condensers for a long time, but to be fair, I rarely ever buy them. So I think the Falcon was the last set of points I bought. Granddad's joke, Chris, some Tony's chocolate would be nice. Tony's chocolate? What are you talking about, Granddad? OFT. Immaculate conception or deception. There you go. It's a close call, isn't it? That's yeah. Lang Connolly. There is a guy that machines a heatsink that allows you to mount the HEI chip to the bottom of your Mopar distributor. Okay. Interesting. Double back again. Many rural internet services still use phone lines. Oh, wow, I didn't know that. That kind of figures. Makes sense. Because, rural in the States can be very, very rural. Michael Sama. AI, only as good as the programmer that wrote it. Yes, you're absolutely correct. And some of the programmers are pretty bloody good. Granddad's Junk, I get internet through farm side and piggyback at the Vodafone network. Okay. Yeah, well, you're pretty rural, aren't you? Not quite like rural here in the States, where you're like, yeah, rural here is like being in the middle of the outback in Australia. Steve Sadusky, there are a lot of reputable, dependable, fail-free companies that used to make quality parts back in the day, but in today's society, it's all knockoffs and they are mostly crap. Yep, you're absolutely right. Josh Homan, the dial-up is being phased out. I bet it is. I'm really surprised that it's still around. Lane Connolly, there's also a guy who 3D prints a Mopar ignition module with an HE mounted in it. That's kind of clever. Yeah, Jeff Hutchins, exactly, mate. Yeah, that'd be cool if you're trying to look OEM. It would be. Tavo, DJ did mention that quote on many occasions. These engines got no grunt. Definitely his most spoken words. Yep, there you go. You remember it too, bud. Jeff Hutchins, Dick Johnson was his middle name, Peter. Okay, that took me a moment, but I get it. Geez, what a name. We only had Dick Trickle. Yeah. Yes, good point. No, no, his nemesis was a Peter Brock, but no, I don't think his middle name was Peter. But I couldn't say for sure. But yeah, that's pretty funny. Well done. Well said. Volflow. Well, if AI takes over, we'll all get little jewels in our hands, just like in Logan's Run. All of ours would be red and flashing. Granddad's Junk. There's a Tony's brand of chocolate. Very nice, but not cheap. Oh, yeah. I've not heard of it, but I've got some rallies. Can you get it up on the North Island? I'll have to. I've got some relatives coming over. My father and mother-in-law. Happy me. No, they're actually pretty good. They're coming over at Christmas, so yeah, I'll have to get them. If they can get some up, they're up in Thames. So if I can, I'll get them to bring some over for me if they can get it. Bowlfly, keeper of strange, threatening ideas. Ooh, very dark. Very dark. Chris Freemasser, you talking about Tony Chocolonely? No joke, that's a brand name. Really? Tony Chocolonely. Good Lord. Andy Nickel, I've been quiet. You have been quiet tonight, mate. What's happening? Working on a 69 Les Paul that some hack made a mess of. Les Paul. Okay. Well, that's not a name I'm familiar with. Les Paul. Is that a nickname for something else, is it? Chris Freemasser, yeah, I have it on good authority that Whittaker's chocolate rules New Zealand. Mate, it does. I believe it does. Craig Nearing, nice to catch up. Have a great week, gents. Nighters. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, we got 3 minutes till 9 o'clock. 3 minutes to 9. So, yeah, that 2 hours has gone quick tonight, guys. Quicker than usual, actually. Les Paul is a famous brand of guitar. Okay. Dude, I wasn't thinking. Yeah, I was forgetting that you restore guitars, and I'm thinking you're working on a car. But no, okay. I think I may have actually heard of a Les Paul guitar somewhere. That does ring a faint bell. It's kind of cool. Stephen Carter, Philly cheesesteak got in my way. Oh, well, that's all right. We'll let you off. Granddad's Junk. Whittaker's is very good chocolate, not so sweet and sickly like Cadbury's. Yeah, it is good. I'm sure there'll be some of that coming arriving with the in-laws. So it'll be good. Andy Nicol, electric guitar, very famous among Gibson lovers. There you go. Steve Sadusky, another great live with Kiwi and group. Yeah, honestly, like they're good. It's we got a couple of minutes to go, but yeah, I mean, thank you guys for all joining in because honestly, I think this live is as much about the input of you guys as and I mean, I'm just the one hosting it, really. It's other lives I've watched, it's all about whoever's on the screen, and maybe whoever they got with them, but this is a real, to me, I enjoy these Tuesday nights because it's a real back and forward chat, even though it's probably a good thing that you guys can't speak on here as well, because there'd be 30 voices all going at the same time and we'd never get anywhere. So, but yeah, it's a great little forum and it's a great group we've got, and I really enjoy it. So, thank you to you guys for all your input. Steve Sadusky, don't forget to leave a like if you haven't already. Yep, that would be awesome if you could, guys. Jeff Hutchins, I was 4 minutes late due to customer interference. So you all need to give me 40 more. That's how it works. Yes, well, I'm a little sleep deprived tonight, as I was up at not even crack. It was before the crack of dawn to get my lovely wife out to the airport. So I was actually at the shop at like 5:30 this morning, like not getting out of bed at 5. I was at the shop at 5:30 this morning. So yeah, it's I'm feeling it a little bit now. So I'm afraid, Jeff, that the 40 minutes is not going to happen tonight. But hey, Stephen Carter, love our night. Great, that's awesome. If you guys enjoy it as much as I do, you're having a good time. So, which is cool. Chris Freeman, it's just a bunch of us old boomers shooting the shit and having some fun. I always look forward to it. Yeah. We don't actually talk that much about cars. Well, we do talk about cars, but it's not a real tech kind of show. But it's all good. It's a good little group we got going. So well done to all of you guys. Barry Cooter, mate, that's leaving it to the death. It's 9:01. Where have you been? The in-laws will probably bring... No, mate, they won't. No, Josh Homan, the in-laws will probably bring Cadbury's. No, Whittaker's, because Cadbury's not New Zealand anymore. They used to make Cadbury's in New Zealand. Now it's imported anyway, I believe. Whittaker's is the way to go. So, Well, all right, guys. It's time to go. Thanks again. Great night. Have a good week. You can get out there and work on your cars. Create some stories that we can talk about next week. And, look after yourselves, guys. I'll see you next Tuesday night. Bye.